So in this video we're going to be looking at some more of R.L. Stine's books going back from the early 80s up into like the beginning of the 90s. The first three books are from the TwistAPlot series, the first one being The Time Raider. This book came out in 1982. Now these books were pretty much like the give yourself goosebumps type of books. These books also had illustrations and stuff inside of them, just throughout the pages. The next book is Golden Sword of Dragon Walk. This book came out in 1983. Just like the other one, this one had illustrations and stuff throughout it. The third one is Horrors of the Haunted Museum. This book came out in 83 as well. Now out of these three books, there's one more that I know I don't have, which is called Instant Millionaire. Out of these books, when I've looked at them online, these ones all look the same, but this one right here, I've seen a different cover for it, and it's a lot more 80s-ish looking, I guess. So I'm not sure if these are the original versions of these books or if they're reprints, but I guess I'll find out in time if I find more of them. The next two books are the Badlands of Hark and the Invaders of Hark. Both these books came out in 1985. So these books were actually a game book where you had multiple choices you have to make throughout the books. And with the different choices you make, there's only one correct way to get to the end. Every other thing you choose either just gives you a game over, or you get lost forever, or your character dies, or something. There's even a point system throughout it where you can keep like a score of how well you did when you went through the book. This is a map that shows you like all the areas that you will play through. And now in this book, you'll start at one point, and then when you get to the end of each section, it gives you a number to go to. Most books, like Give Yourself Goosebumps, it tells you to go to a certain page. This just gives you a number, and you just go through the book until you find these numbers. There's illustrations and stuff throughout these books. I read through this book multiple times. I never could find the one way to get through the book. At one point you make it into a big maze, and usually in the maze was where I would always lose. I'd either just get stuck in it or could get lost forever. Now if I would have had this book when I was a kid, probably would have had a lot of fun reading this with my brother, like family trips we would take. This would have been a lot of fun to read with someone else and actually keep score of your points and stuff and try and see who makes it through the book and who doesn't. This book's the same way, just different setting. The first book is kind of like a wasteland, and then this one's more of like a futuristic type of place. I never really read much of this book. I did read through it just a little bit, not as much as I did the other one. But it's just the same thing. So this next book is kind of a random one. Everything You Need to Survive, First States. The Stines Super Survival Kit #1. By Jane Stine and Jovial Bob Stine. Now this book actually came out in 1983. As you can see right here, there are 4 of these books. This is the only one I have. I randomly came across this, in a used bookstore. I've never heard of it before, never seen it. Another book with a lot of illustrations and stuff throughout it. Can't really tell you much of what's in this book because I haven't read it. Next is another Jovial Bob Stine book, 101 Wacky Kid Jokes. And this book came out in 1988. If I'm not mistaken, I think I read through this entire book the same day I found it. I came across it in a used bookstore. Obviously, it's a bunch of kid jokes, but there was a few here and there that were actually kind of cheesy and pretty funny. A lot of illustrations throughout it. "101 Vacation Jokes" by Jovial Bob Stine. This book's from 1990. This one I ordered online. Didn't find this one in a bookstore. But it's the same as the other one. So this next one's a real random one because I only have one of them. R.L. Stine's Indiana Jones and the Giants of the Silver Tower. This is like a make your own story type of thing. Now, weird thing about this book, it's dated on the inside as 1984, and I can't find any other date anywhere other than 1984. But when you look on the cover of the book, it says by the author of Goosebumps and 99 Fear Street. So I'm not exactly sure when this version of this book was released, but it's like a lot of these other pick your own ending stories. It's got a lot of illustrations throughout it. I felt pretty lucky when I came across this one in the bookstore. I knew about the Indiana Jones books. I had seen some of them online before, but this is the first one I ever actually came across. Now the last 3 books in this video are 3 more standalone novels that I didn't include in the last video. The first one is How I Broke Up with Ernie. This book came out in 1990. So I still got my sticker on the back of it from the store I bought it from. I actually got this book from the same place I got the Indiana Jones book from. Now this is like a comedy type novel. It's not like the teen thriller stuff, which obviously you can tell by the cover. It doesn't look like any kind of thriller book. Next book is Phone Calls. And this book's from 1990. Now, I've actually read this book, and this is the only book that I've read that's one of the funny type of books. Well, as far as the standalone novels, it's the only funny type book I've read. And this book, I actually really enjoyed reading it. The whole book is through basically like you overhearing all these people's conversation on the phone. It's, I think, like 4 friends in the book. And see, this says chapter 1, Diane calls Julie. And every chapter is just like that. Julie calls Mike. Every chapter is just you overhearing the phone conversations between these friends. In the book, I don't remember exactly everything that went on, but like one of the girls tells the other girl that there's a guy that likes her. And she ends up going to try and talk to the guy, but it ends up being that they got the names mixed around, like the same first name but different last names. So she accidentally talks to the wrong guy. Well, she ends up calling her friend back and thinking that her friend did this intentionally and was trying to play a prank on her. But after that, the whole book pretty much becomes like a prank war between these friends and just their phone calls back and forth of what happened. So it was a pretty interesting book. If you can find this one, I would definitely suggest reading this. It's very different from the normal R.L. Stine. So the last book in this video is Curtins. Again, this book came out in 1990 with the other 2 books that I just showed you. Alright, so that'll be it for this video. Now my wife's already given me a little heads up that my videos are kind of boring. I plan on doing more stuff in the future. I want to do actual book reviews and go over actual complete series of books. The first one I think I want to do would be mostly Ghostly, because it's a pretty short series. I think I can take all 8 books and just split it up in 2 and do 4 books and then the other 4. But in the meantime, thanks for watching my videos, and see you guys soon.